welcome back to the channel and the first ever episode of the Racing Roundup series, where every week I'm going to just talk through some of the highlights of the last week when it comes to racing from England and over on Ireland. And this week we're going to start off with the Colin Tizzard yard. They're in great form at the minute and they've had a 22% strike rate in the last 14 days. And you think some of the horses that have come back from poor seasons, you look at Lost in Translation, his performance at Ascot was very good. Fiddler on the Roof and Eldorado Allen, who both didn't have great results last season, but they've come back with a bang. And I think a lot of that has been down to Brendan Powell as well. He's a jockey that's very underrated, I don't know why, but he's been in very good form and he partnered Lost in Translation to a very good win, giving him a very good ride and chucking him into every fence. The second thing we're going to cover is the Irish Challengers. Over in Ireland we had some very impressive performances last week, and Bob Olinger was probably top of the list. He made his chase debut over 2.5 miles in an 18-runner field, and he won quite well in the end. He made a few little mistakes, but he will improve for that, and you think he's going to be a serious force over chasing for the rest of this season. Over hurdles we saw Hollow Games won a good 30, and that was a very good performance as well. It probably could have won by more in the end, but it won by 2.5 lengths, and I think 2 from 2 over hurdles and 5 from 5 in its career. I think it has a very bright future. And on to Sunday at Navin, Unwild Fred won the Troy Town handicap chase by 7.5 lengths, and that put it into the top of the market for the Grand National come April next year. Is 16-1 favourite for that now after a 7.5 length demolition job, and that performance showed it can jump, it can travel, it can stay the distance, and having tipped up Unwild Fred early on in the season for the National, I'm very pleased with that performance. The third thing we'll cover is Haydock at the weekend, and we saw 2 very good performances. Firstly, Boy of Man's Game won another chase by 2.5 lengths, beating Itchy Feet into second, and that was a very good performance. Boy of Man's Game could have won by any amount. Harry Cobden just sat there and didn't have to do a lot at all, and it'll be very interesting to see if him and Bob Olinger meet on later in the season. On a poll on Twitter I asked who was the better horse out of the two, and 70% said Bob Olinger, so do you agree with that? Let me know in the comments down below. And then just half an hour later we saw A Plus Tard in the Betfair Chase, and that was such another demolition job for A Plus Tard, won by 22 lengths in the end. There's questions over what it actually be, but there was some decent horses in behind, and Rachel Blackmore just had a sterling job to get A Plus Tard home. And the final thing we're going to cover is Bryony Frost. She's in great form at the minute. She's had a 39% strike rate, and she had a double at Ascot the other day with 2 very good rides to win on both of them. If you look at this season, she's already had big race winners aboard Yarla, Enki and Fordon, and it's a slight worry that with everything going on in the background, she's only had 18 rides in the last 2 weeks, but she's performing on the track, and that's all that matters. A big thanks for listening. Comment what you thought was the most impressive performance in the last week or two, and stay subscribed for more videos incoming soon.